Yeah, I'm gonna quickly try to give a review about a little book interview with Darion from Put a Ring on It. Now, whatever that plot he said that him and Alexa had, though it seemed logical that that could be a possible scheme that the two of them came up with to get on the show or get exposure, etc., etc. I don't trust anything that man says because he has been shown as a character on my television screen to be a liar. Like, he will lie in one sentence and then the very next sentence say something contrary to that, or he'll lie and somebody else say or ask him a question and he'll say something contrary to that and not even bat an eye about it. And so that type of personality, I don't really know if they are actually giving us any true information ever when they speak. Secondly, what I observed from the interview was his need to try to project this disposition as if he has knowledge beyond his scope. So, like, the interviewer for Little Black Book, he would, insert religious context to a perception of something and bring up Jesus, and then Darion would go out of his way to bring up the textuary information that had nothing to do with nothing, I guess, to exhibit that he has some knowledge of the subject, which the knowledge he was giving didn't have to do with the specific topic that they were talking about. It was really him just throwing out information, particularly in the beginning of the interview when I was watching. There was a point where he was talking, I forget what he was talking about. Oh, the indigenous people of America, and etc., etc. Though that knowledge, you could tell he received it in a bastardized distillation, right? But it felt like he was just saying something to say shit to sound like he knew something, I guess. It wasn't, it didn't have nothing to do with nothing. Furthermore, what I noticed in that interview, and this is primarily why I want to address the interview, because we live in a time where, particularly in spaces like the internet that are geared towards black people on the internet, we live in a time where there is this marketing, this shame marketing towards black women, where everybody knows that they can shame the black woman into voting, they can shame the black woman into lowering her standards, they can shame the black woman into perceiving that she is the quintessential problem with the paradigm in which we live in. And it's a paradigm that's not even of her imagination, right? We live in a paradigm of Western civilization, which I equate Western civilization to, you got it, WS. So, with that being said, that would mean essentially the paradigm we're in comes from people who aren't even us, but we are black American women particularly are shamed into thinking that they are the eels of the world. Why am I bringing that forward? Well, I preface with saying that to say this. When I watched the Darion interview and it came to the part of him relating to women, his disposition of how he related to women was essentially that he was what they should value over themselves for a while, until he gets to a point where he realizes that you have been broken. And then he can be, according to him, loyal and splurge and whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop. With that being the case, though, he describes his circumstances of his life when asked about, what did the interviewer asked him about how he's living off of women, right? And his response to living off of women was essentially that he was a famous man who didn't want to devalue his fame. And because he could not no longer really produce the product in which he is famous for, the only alternative to accumulating money was, first, he showed or said his first option that he employed was selling tree. And then he got popped for that. And then all options eliminated, he had to, I guess it was alluded to, basically live off of women. And he said the reason why he had to do this, mind you, because he couldn't devalue his fame. Where I find that to be lacking of awareness to say that out loud, because you're essentially saying your fame has no value to begin with, because you don't have anything at the moment, yet you have fame. So are you willing? So is your fame? My question would be, is his fame what he values more than security, responsibility, more than, I don't know, food, clothing, and shelter, more than integrity, right? His fame must have been what he valued, because all his fame was fame, and not even just fame, but localized fame. Because though I'm aware of Phil Mob and I sang their songs and whoop de whoop, I couldn't, even if I saw him, he probably would look familiar, but he would look familiar in a way like, oh, do I know him? Is he from around the way type dude? That type of familiarity. It's not a familiarity of, oh, that dude famous type familiar. So he has local fame to his testament. He says he's a legend where he's from. So he's a local legend where he's from. So being locally famous and legendary is more valuable to him than financial stability, is what he basically said, or what I interpreted. Let me not put that squarely on him, because he probably can explain it differently. But that's what I interpreted based on what he said. Secondly, what I gathered on that premise is that he would talk about women, talk about women, talk about women, talk about women, and how he only ever related the women as what they were doing for him, or how they were responsible for his failings in some way. So the reason he couldn't apologize to Kai, was it Kai? That's her name. Is because she wasn't as good as we think she is. She's not innocent. And that brings me to another point. It was brought up about drug use and how did he do drugs, and he said, yeah, I did drugs, and Kat wanted to try it with me, and whoop de whoop, she did it with me, and I let her try it. So basically, you let this woman who don't do this drug try this drug. You ain't even Ray Charles the bitch. You didn't even tell her, you know, listen, I don't ever want to catch you doing this. So it shows you have a lack of empathy and care for the people you've entering their bodies with your body. But anyway, fast forward on that point. I seen the reunion and she kept like doing something with her teeth, and Erica De Niro brought this up. I watch Erica De Niro, and she brought this point up. She was saying the same thing, like what was she doing with her teeth? And I was looking at it like, did she get her teeth done? Are those fresh teeth or layovers on her teeth and they just don't feel right? But to know that, and again, I'm going off a incredible person, and when I say incredible, I don't mean awesome. I mean lack of credibility. A person with a lack of credibility account of what's happening. But it does beg the question, was she high at the reunion? But he he throws off or deflects his responsibility on these women around him. Oh, Alexa, I'm doing this because Alexa knew the plan and she not going along with it. I did this because Alexa was this, and that, and Kai did this, and this. The only people in my life who loved me, the only woman who loved me was the Greek woman, the white woman. And I don't understand why Little Black Book was. Maybe it's a cultural difference why you can't refer to somebody as how they arrive. You can call them a woman, but you can't go into further sub descriptors to kind of nail it down. But I get it. The Greek woman, the white woman, is the woman he loves and who loves him, he says. But him going through this entire interview, all he said, oh, my mother, he kept saying it. My OG, he didn't say OG. I'm from a place where we call parents OGs, my bad. But his mother, he was like, my mama's a dark-skinned woman, and I love the black female form, and I love a black woman, and the whoop, the whoop, the whoop, the whoop. But every time he expresses who he loved or who he fell in love with, it's not who he claims he actually loved, like who he professed. The Greek woman is a white woman. The first girl he said he got his heart broken by, the adjective he used to assure her beauty, because he said it was his first pretty beautiful girlfriend or something to that effect. And then he says, yeah, she was a light-skinned girl and woo-de woo-de woo. It's not consistent. He's an inconsistent person. And then too, he reads as if his only focus in life is himself. Like he has no empathy, or he didn't translate that he had empathy for anybody in that. And maybe he, based on the way the interviewer was asking questions of how he was reared, how he grew up, this and that, it might be based on that why he only looks for him, because he made it a point to say about him being dark skinned, and he kept bringing this up even in spaces where it was unnecessary to even address, right? The skin color was always a point of reference in some way. And I think he is, if the strategy that he claimed that him and Alexa was in on trying to get on that show is real, then maybe he is trying to troll the people to attract extra attention and to elongate this span of attention that we give him in this thing. But it was disheartening to hear the things that he was saying, like how when he got the African wife, She cooked every day, and it was almost as if he studied the buzz of the internet, and he, from all sectors, particularly in the relationship sector, it sounded like a lot of, if he is sincere, okay, then that's another observation in and of itself, or analysis in itself. But I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt based on him being on this show. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say he trolling. He got to be trolling, because everything, the unnecessary pointing to skin color and skin shades, the unnecessary, the white woman, the Greek woman, the African woman, the whoop the whoop. In some pockets, it was unnecessary. The woman that you are in relations, it's almost as if he were speaking about them like they were products, like they were inanimate. This robot, this particular brand of robot did this, this, and this for me. And then this particular robot did this and this and this for me. But those robots over there malfunction. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? I have to deal with this. I deal with the robots who wrote, and it's not as if they are sentient to him, which is elucidated. And he becomes that it's almost as if he was proud to profess to be what those YouTubers in that sector, like the Senjis and the what's her name, Nyla's, and all of those. It's almost like he was proud to say these things of himself, like he is a three trash bag Dusty, according to Cynthia Drake. Everything that they describe as attributes of a quote unquote three bag Dusty, he said and was professing these things as if it was a matter of getting to the quality woman. I say all that to say, I hope he is trolling. From the bottom of my toes, I hope he is trolling. Because if he is not, and this is a person who is in a community, and he is allowed to be this way in the community, and nobody is going to say, man, you a bum ass nigga, or nobody's going to ostracize him or excommunicate him from a community, he is a poor reflection then of a greater collective. And this is why it is so profitable. That sector of the internet is so profitable. But let me not go too deep in that. I don't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to put my thoughts in document for the future to attest to. Again, you can comment. I'll respond to your comments if you ever watch this, whoever. I don't think people will watch this, but comment. I'll comment back if it's interesting enough. Yeah.